Hello and welcome to Brocky Mountain Movies. I'm your host, Rocky Mountain Brock, and welcome to Movie Fights, where we take a look at two great movies and see which one comes out on top. For your holiday season, Disney's newest and 60th animated picture, Encanto, versus Illumination's sequel to their 2016 hit, Sing 2. So, we put these two musicals head to head and see which one takes home the gold. Now, let's take a look at both of them individually. Disney's Encanto is about a family who's been given a magical candle, which gives them a magical living house, and the inhabitants within the family are all blessed with superhuman gifts. From super strength to talking to animals, his family lives as royals in their community as they use their gifts to benefit the community as a whole. The main character, however, seems to be the only one who hasn't got a gift yet. She and the rest of her family have no idea why. And trouble starts brewing when the family house starts to crack and people start losing their gifts. So it is up to her to somehow figure out what's going on and how to fix it. And I have to say, when I first walked out of the theater, I was honestly disappointed as Disney seems to be continuing its slump of mediocrity. It started with Onward, continued with Raya and the Last Dragon, and Encanto seems to be following this trend of making very obvious mistakes from a studio that's supposed to achieve greatness almost effortlessly. If I had to pick out the best parts of Encanto, they would be definitely towards the beginning. The only time it ever feels like a true Disney film when the main character has to act like a big sister. Because since she is the only one who hasn't gotten a gift, her younger cousin is about to receive his gift, but he's nervous that it's not going to work. In fact, everyone's nervous it's not going to work because it didn't work for her last time, so everyone's a little on edge for this one. And she has to put on a brave face and help him through this coming-of-age ceremony. It's the one time it feels like Disney knows what they're doing, which is normally all the time, but again, the slump. And if I had to pick out the best song, it would be Lucia's song. The one where she feels like she is trying to keep her entire family up and she's terrified of the fact that she might not be strong enough. Also, Bruno's a very interesting character, and it's the one time it seems like the theme is actually working. And the theme of the movie is not lost on me. The idea is that the magical house itself, its foundation, is symbolic of the family's foundation. But the cracks show up because you're putting too much pressure on the children. Bruno is, in my opinion, the best example of this. He left because his gift wasn't helping the family. But that's only because people kept looking at it wrong. His gift was seeing the future. But everyone kept saying that Bruno makes bad things happen, when in actuality he's just calling the bad thing ahead of time. But once everyone started associating him with misfortune, he wasn't helping anyone anymore, so he left. So that's when the main idea of the film really starts shining through. The problem is, it doesn't do so for the rest of the film, which boils Encanto down to four major problems. The first major problem is they didn't do a very good job of planting the seeds ahead of time. You could argue that the first song did its job of introducing who the family is and what their quirks are, or gifts, but it doesn't exactly tell us who they are, personality-wise. So it's hard to actually build on that later in the movie. Which of course brings us to the second one. It passes the eternally critical point. This is the point in any movie when you have to stop adding plot and characters. You have the entire beginning to establish the background of establishing what the plot is and who the characters are, but as the movie goes on, you have to build on what you already have. You can't introduce more stuff. The Eternals had this problem, and this movie has that problem. That your last point was with Bruno, but you kept going, but at some point you have to stop adding stuff because at that point it's not able to mature properly. The third major problem is that there's no urgency. We get the theme and we get the resolution, but simply put, the worst thing that could possibly happen already happened, so there's no real urgency in fixing the problem. So it diminishes the actual resolution, and considering the resolution is already just an honest conversation, you're purposefully not highlighting your climax, which is the exact opposite of what you're supposed to do. And 4, which honestly is just a nitpick in my opinion, why doesn't the main character get her gift? Why doesn't Maribel get her gift? I mean, the door is set up, but she just doesn't get it. And I get it that if she actually got her gift, you could argue that the entire movie doesn't happen. That the whole plot is that she doesn't. But it's never explained in movie why she didn't. Like, there's no in-universe explanation as to why it didn't. I mean, her little cousin is able to, but once the little cousin gets his gift, he's not really important for the rest of the movies. He adds almost nothing. You had a great base to start with, and you completely abandoned it. Which makes Encanto one of the more mediocre and forgettable Disney films. It's enjoyable, but not predicated to the standards that Disney has built for itself. So what about Sing 2? How does it hold up? Well, I found the first Sing to be a surprise delight for me. I was going in just thinking, you know what, I'll give it a shot. But I was honestly delighted by it. I liked the characters, I liked the music, honestly, it was just surprisingly delightful, from a source I didn't think would work. The second one isn't as good as the first, but it's a good follow-up. After you see a bunch of sequels that just don't live up to the original, it's rare you find one that is a good follow-up. So what's the story? Again, pretty much like the last one. They're trying to put on a show, a bunch of production issues get in the way, but they end up putting on the grand show. The plot's pretty much the same as the first, but again, it's with likable characters, and if I had to pick the one movie of Illumination that's actually showing off, it'd be this one. Because Illumination's kind of seen as a zeitgeist, here they're actually showing off that they have talent for the visually spectacular. So, you got the two musicals. One's using its music to tell story and themes, the other is a jukebox musical. So why does Sing 2 win? Because Sing 2 is doing the one thing that Disney has simply forgotten how to do. It's having fun. Like I said, Encanto purposefully diminishes its own climax. The point where the emotion's supposed to be the highest is just a non-issue. With Sing 2, the climax is where they're trying their hardest. All the musical numbers, they're throwing everything they got into them. Throwing all their visuals, all her music, all their likability into their big climax. And even if you think the rest of the movie is mediocre, the climax has always made up for it. All the hard work, all the hoops you gotta jump through, it's worth it for that final climax. Simply put, I came out of Encanto disappointed, I came out of Sing 2 saying yeah! And Sing 2 has a lot of yeah. My pick of who wins the holiday season? It's going to be Sing 2. And simply put, Disney, you gotta get your act together. Win goes to Sing 2. I'm Rocky Mountain Brock, and God bless.